The crystal towers of Velthara Prime stretched into the purple sky like frozen lightning. Inside the tallest tower, beings from across the galaxy gathered in the great meeting hall. The air buzzed with different languages and the strange sounds that alien creatures made when they were worried. Chancellor Vextai floated above the center of the room. His blue skin glowed brighter when he was upset, and right now he was glowing very bright indeed. Around him sat representatives from 12 different species. Some looked like giant insects, others were made of living rock, and a few were just clouds of glowing gas that somehow could think and talk. "Friends," Vextai said, his voice carrying to every corner of the massive hall, "we have a problem. A big problem." Admiral Kira stood up from her seat. She was from the Zephyrian race, tall and thin with silver skin that looked like metal. Her people were known for being careful and smart about military matters. She walked to the center of the room and waved her hand. A giant picture made of light appeared in the air above everyone's heads. 3 days ago, Kira said, our deep space sensors picked up something strange. Very strange. The light picture showed a map of the galaxy with tiny dots of light scattered across it. Most of the galaxy was marked in green, showing where the different alien species had their homes. But there was a section marked in red that everyone tried to avoid. The signals came from here. Kira pointed to the red section, the dead zone, the place we call the Sol system. A nervous sound went through the crowd. The Sol system was bad news. Everyone knew the stories. Long ago, before any of their civilizations had even learned to fly between stars, something terrible had lived there. The old stories called them Terrans or humans. They were supposed to be the most dangerous creatures the galaxy had ever seen. "But that's impossible," said Counselor Thalvin. He was from the Meridian Collective, a peaceful race that looked like walking flowers. "Humans are just stories. Old tales to scare children. Everyone knows they never really existed." "That's what we thought too," Kira said. She changed the light picture to show numbers and charts. "But look at this data. The energy patterns match perfectly with the old descriptions in our historical files. These are the same signals that our ancient ancestors recorded over 10,000 years ago." The room got very quiet. Even the gas cloud beings stopped their constant humming. Everyone stared at the numbers floating in the air. Dr. Mordek of the Silicon Collective spoke next. His people were made of living rock and metal, so they lived much longer than most other species. Some of them could remember things from thousands of years ago. "My people have stories," he said in his deep, rumbling voice. "Stories passed down from our oldest ancestors. They tell of a species that could fight anyone and win. They were small compared to us, but they never gave up. They could live on any world and make weapons from anything they found." "Just stories," Thalvin said again, but he didn't sound as sure as before. "Maybe," said Dr. Mordek, "but the stories also say they disappeared suddenly. One day they were everywhere in the galaxy, the next day they were gone. No one knew why or where they went." Admiral Kira nodded. "And now we're getting signals from their old home system. Signals that show massive energy use. Something big is happening there." Chancellor Vextai's blue glow got even brighter. "Show them the rest," he told Kira. The light picture changed again. This time it showed readings from the past week. The numbers were huge, bigger than anything the current galactic civilizations could produce. "These energy readings," Kira said, "are 10 times stronger than our most powerful space stations. Whatever is in the Sol system has technology that makes ours look like children's toys." A representative from the Bone Reaper clan stood up. The Bone Reapers were fierce warriors who lived for battle. They were covered in thick armor and had forearms that ended in sharp claws. "If the humans have returned," he growled, "then we must prepare for war." "The old stories say they were unstoppable in battle." "The old stories say many things," Thalvin said. "They say humans could eat metal and breathe poison. They say human children were born knowing how to fight. These are just tales that got bigger with each telling." "Then explain the energy readings," demanded the Bone Reaper. Thalvin didn't have an answer for that. Far away from the meeting, in the deep blue oceans of a world called Earth, Admiral Kim Daeho stood in front of a wall of screens. Each screen showed different parts of the galaxy. He could see the alien ships moving between stars, the busy space stations, and the worlds where billions of non-human creatures lived their lives. Kim Daeho was human, though the aliens in their meeting would not have recognized him as the monster from their stories. He was of average height with dark hair and kind eyes. He wore a simple blue uniform with silver decorations that showed his high rank. "Sir," said Lieutenant Park Soo-jin as she walked up to him. We're receiving transmissions from the Galactic Federation meeting. They're talking about us. Kim Dae-ho nodded. I know. How long before they decide to send ships to investigate? Our computers predict they'll vote to send a small fleet within the week, Park Soo-jin replied. The military species want to act fast. The peaceful ones want to wait and study the signals more. And what do our leaders say? Are we ready to reveal ourselves? Park Soo-jin looked at the screen showing the alien worlds. President Choi Min-jung is meeting with the High Council tonight. They've been preparing for this day for a long time, but now that it's here... She didn't finish the sentence. Kim Dae-ho understood. For 10,000 years, humanity had been hiding. They had left the galaxy when they were young and violent, always fighting with each other and anyone else they met. The other species had been right to fear them back then. But humans had changed during their long absence. They had learned to work together, to build instead of just destroy, to think before they acted. The funny thing, Kim Dae-ho said quietly, is that they're afraid we'll be the same as we were before. They don't realize that we're afraid of the same thing. On the screens, they could see the alien fleets preparing their ships. Some species wanted to send military vessels. Others wanted to send scientists. All of them were scared of what they might find. Back on Velthara Prime, the meeting was getting heated. Representatives were arguing loudly in a dozen different languages. Some demanded immediate military action. Others wanted to send messages first. A few suggested they should just pretend they never detected the signals at all. We have to do something, Admiral Kira said. We can't ignore this. If there really is an advanced civilization in the Sol system, we need to know if they're friendly or hostile. And if they're hostile? Asked the Bone Reaper representative. If the human monsters have really returned, then we face them as we always have, Kira replied. Together, Chancellor Vextai called for quiet. We will vote, he announced. All in favor of sending a joint investigation fleet to the Sol system? Slowly, hands and claws and energy tentacles rose into the air. The vote was close, but it passed. Very well, Vextai said. Admiral Kira will lead a fleet of 12 ships representing 6 species. They will approach the Sol system and attempt to make contact with whatever they find there. As the meeting broke up, none of the aliens noticed the tiny probe hidden in the crystal walls. The probe had been watching and listening to everything. It was very old but still worked perfectly. Humans had placed it there over 1,000 years ago, just in case this day ever came. The probe sent a message across space at faster than light speed. The message was simple. They're coming. Admiral Kim Dae-ho received the message in his underwater command center. He looked at the screens showing the peaceful alien worlds, then at the screens showing the human fleets hidden throughout the galaxy. Humanity had grown strong during their long isolation. They now had technology that the younger species couldn't imagine, but they had also learned wisdom. The question was, were the other species ready to learn that their greatest nightmare was also their greatest hope? The first contact in 10,000 years was about to begin. Captain Zurmuth gripped the arms of his command chair as his ship dropped out of faster-than-light travel. The 12 ships of the investigation fleet appeared in normal space at the edge of the Sol system. Each ship was different, built by different alien species with different ideas about what a starship should look like. All ships report ready, Captain, said his communications officer. The crew was a mix of species, all volunteers for what might be the most dangerous mission in galactic history. Begin long-range scans, Zurmuth ordered. He was from the Alterian Republic, a species that looked like tall, thin humans but with green skin and large black eyes. His people were known for being diplomatic and careful. The main screen lit up with data as the ship's sensors reached out into the Sol system. What they found made everyone on the bridge stop what they were doing and stare. This can't be right, whispered the science officer, a 4-armed creature from the Kron Empire. The readings show everything. The whole system is full of artificial structures. Zurmuth leaned forward. Show me. The screen changed to display a map of the Sol system. Where they had expected to find empty space and dead planets, they saw something incredible. The third planet from the star, Earth according to the old records, was covered in lights. Huge space stations orbited around it like metal moons. The fourth planet showed signs of being changed from a dead rock into a living world. Look at this, said Dr. Yaxtel, the fleet's chief scientist. She was from a species that looked like intelligent octopuses with crystalline skin. The asteroid belt between the fourth and fifth planets has been completely rebuilt. Those aren't natural rocks anymore. They're weapons platforms. The bridge fell silent. The asteroid belt had been turned into a wall of defense stations, each one bigger than the aliens' largest battleships. How many? Zermoth asked quietly. I count over 3,000 major installations, Doctor, Yaxtel replied. Each one has energy outputs that match our most powerful ships. Captain, whoever lives here could destroy our entire fleet without even trying hard. On Earth, deep under the Pacific Ocean, Dr. Park Soo-jin watched the alien fleet through sensors they couldn't detect. The human command center was built into the seafloor itself, hidden under miles of water and rock. Holographic displays showed every detail of the 12 alien ships. They're scared, she told Fleet Admiral Lee Jun-ho. Their bio-readings show high stress levels across all species. Lee Jun-ho nodded. He was an older man with gray hair and calm eyes. He had spent his whole life preparing for this moment. What's their technology level compared to ours? About what we expected, Park Soo-jin replied. Their ships are well built but basic. Fusion power, simple energy weapons, no adaptive shielding. They're maybe 50 years ahead of where we were when we left the galaxy, and we've had 10,000 years to advance since then. Yes, sir. They're children playing with toys compared to what we can do now. Lee Jun-ho watched the alien ship slowly moving deeper into the Sol system. But they're brave children. It takes courage to come looking for monsters in the dark. Back on the lead alien ship, Captain Zermoth was facing a difficult choice. The fleet had been scanning for 2 hours, and what they found got more impossible with each minute. Captain, reported the tactical officer, we've detected movement around the third planet. Multiple ships are launching from the surface and orbital stations. How many ships? Zermoth asked. I've counted over 200 so far, sir, and they're all bigger than our largest vessel. Dr. Yaxtel looked up from her instruments with confusion on her face. Captain, I'm not detecting any of these ships on normal sensors. I can only see them when they move in front of background stars. It's like they're not really there. Stealth technology, Zermoth said grimly. Technology far beyond anything we have. The communications officer suddenly stood up straight. Captain, we're being scanned. Multiple sources, very powerful. They know exactly where we are and what we're carrying. Any response to our greeting messages? Nothing, sir. Complete silence. Zermoth stared at the screen showing the Sol system. Every planet was inhabited. Every moon had been turned into a fortress. The space between worlds was filled with structures too advanced for his people to fully understand. If this was humanity, then the old stories had been completely wrong. The stories said humans were dangerous because they were savage and violent. But this showed something much worse. Humans who were savage, violent, and incredibly smart. Sir, the science officer called out. You need to see this. I'm detecting massive structures on the far side of the system. They appear to be shipyards. The main screen showed the outer edge of the Sol system. Floating in the darkness were construction facilities that stretched for hundreds of miles. Ships were being built there, ships so large they made the alien fleet look like insects. How big are those ships? Zermoth asked. The largest one I can see is about 50 miles long, sir, and that's just one of many. Dr. Yaxtel checked her readings again. Captain, based on the energy output from those shipyards, they're not building 1 or 2 ships. They're building fleets. Hundreds of ships. The bridge crew exchanged worried looks. If humans were building that many warships, it could only mean one thing. They were preparing for war. On Earth, President Choi Min-jung sat in the High Council chamber with the leaders of humanity. The chamber was carved from living rock deep under the Korean mountains. Holographic displays showed the alien fleet's position and the readings from their ships. They're terrified, said Dr. Han So-young, humanity's expert on alien psychology. Every species reacts to fear differently, but right now they're all showing the same response. They want to run away, but they're too scared to move. Can we blame them? Asked General Nam Tae-hyun. If I were them and I saw what they're seeing, I'd be scared too. President Choi Min-jung looked at the faces around the table. These were the people who had guided humanity through 10,000 years of growth and change. The question is, what do we do now? They've found us. We can't hide anymore. We could let them leave, suggested Dr. Han So-young. Just stay quiet and let them report back that the Sol system is empty. They're not stupid, replied Admiral Kim Dae-ho. They've already seen too much. Their sensors have detected our cities, our space stations, our defensive grid. Even if we wanted to hide, it's too late. General Nam Tae-hyun leaned forward. The Kron Empire has a ship in that fleet. Their people are warriors. If they go back and report that humans have returned with superior technology, they'll want to strike first before we can attack them. Attack them? President Choi Min-jung shook her head. We haven't attacked anyone in 8,000 years. Why would we start now? Because that's what the old stories say about us. The aliens remember humans as violent conquerors. They don't know we've changed. The council chamber fell quiet. Everyone knew the stories the aliens told about humanity. Most of those stories were true. Humans had been violent and dangerous when they first reached the stars. They had fought with everyone, including each other. Other species had good reasons to fear them. We could try talking to them, suggested Dr. Park Soo-jin through the communication system. Send them a message. Let them know we're peaceful now. Would you believe that message if you were them? Asked Admiral Kim Dae-ho. If a species you thought was extinct suddenly appeared with technology that made your weapons look like sticks and stones? Back on the alien fleet, Captain Zermoth was running out of options. His ships couldn't fight an enemy this advanced. They couldn't run away fast enough to escape if the humans decided to attack. All they could do was wait and hope. Captain, the communications officer called out. I'm detecting a solar flare building up, a big one. If it hits us out here without proper shielding. Zermoth looked at the readings. Solar flares were dangerous to ships this far from their home ports. Their vessels could survive small ones, but this flare looked massive. How long until it reaches us? 20 minutes, sir. Maybe less. Can we get to cover behind one of the planets? Not in time, Captain. We're too far out. Dr. Yaxtel checked her instruments frantically. Our shields can't handle a flare this size. We need to get into the planet's magnetic field or find some other protection. Captain Zermoth realized he was about to lose his entire fleet not to human weapons but to the human star itself. After all their preparation and fear, they were going to die from bad luck. Send a message to all ships, he ordered. Prepare for emergency protocols. We're going to try to ride out the storm. That's when something impossible happened. Ships began appearing around the alien fleet. Not on sensors. The human ships were still invisible to alien technology, but crew members looking out the windows could see them with their own eyes. Sleek vessels that seemed to bend light around themselves, moving in perfect formation. Captain, the communications officer said in a shaky voice, we're being hailed. Audio only. The message is coming through on multiple frequencies in all our languages. Put it through. A calm voice filled the bridge. The voice was speaking perfect Alterian, with no accent or mistake. Alien vessels, this is Captain Park Jin-woo of the Terran Defense Force. We detect you are in danger from the approaching solar event. Do you require assistance? Captain Zermoth stared at the speaker. The blue glow around the alien ship slowly faded as the solar storm passed. Captain Zermoth stood on his bridge, staring out at the human vessels that had appeared to save them. The sleek ships hung in space like metal sharks, their hulls reflecting starlight in ways that hurt to look at directly. Captain Park Jin-woo, Zermoth said into his communication system. Thank you for saving our lives. We came here to investigate reports of activity in this system. We know why you came, Captain Zermoth, came the reply. The human voice was calm and friendly, nothing like the monster voices from the old stories. We've been watching your approach for several days. We also know about the meeting on Velthara Prime. Dr. Yaxtel looked up from her instruments with wide eyes. Captain, how could they know about the council meeting? That was held in the most secure location in the galaxy. The human voice answered her question even though she hadn't been speaking into the communication system. We've been watching for a very long time, Dr. Yaxtel. We had to know if the younger species were ready for our return. Younger species? Captain Zermoth repeated. You speak as if you're older than us. We are, Captain Park Jinwoo replied. Much older. Your people have records of us, but those records only go back to when we first met your ancestors. We were already an old civilization by then. Captain Zermoth felt a chill run down his spine. According to galactic records, humans had appeared when most current species were still learning to use fire. If humans were old even then, how old? He whispered. Old enough to have made many mistakes. Old enough to have learned from them. Captain Zermoth, would you and your senior officers like to come aboard our ship? It's time we met face to face. The alien bridge crew looked at each other nervously. Everyone knew the stories about what happened to aliens who went aboard human ships, but they also knew that if the humans wanted to hurt them, there was nothing stopping them. We accept your invitation, Captain Zermoth said. Excellent. We're sending transport pods. They will bring you to our ship, New Sol. Please don't be alarmed by the technology. We know it will seem strange to you. A few minutes later, small craft appeared next to the alien ships. They were unlike anything in the aliens' technology files. The pods seemed to be made of liquid metal that flowed and changed shape. They attached to the alien airlocks with perfect seals, even though the airlock designs were completely different. Captain Zermoth, Dr. Yaxtel, and 3 other officers entered the transport pod. The inside was softly lit and comfortable, with seats that adjusted automatically to fit each different alien body type. Welcome aboard, said a pleasant female voice. I am the transport's artificial intelligence. My name is Hana. Please make yourselves comfortable for the short journey to New Sol. Artificial intelligence? Dr. Yaxtel gasped. But that's impossible. No one has been able to create true AI. The computing power needed is considerable. Hana agreed. But humans have had 10,000 years to work on the problem. Please look out the windows. You might find the view interesting. The aliens looked outside and saw something that made them forget to breathe. They were flying through a massive space city. What they had thought was empty space around Earth was actually filled with structures. Huge cylindrical habitats rotated slowly, each one big enough to hold millions of people. Space factories stretched for miles, building ships and equipment. Parks and gardens floated in the void, protected by invisible force fields. How many people live here? Captain Zermoth asked quietly. In the Sol system? About 40 billion, Hana replied casually. Though that's just one of our systems. Humans live in many places now. Many places? Dr. Yaxtel's voice cracked. How many systems do you control? 312 inhabited systems, Hana said, plus several hundred more that we use for mining and research. We've been busy during our time away. The transport pod docked with the human ship New Sol. The airlock opened and the aliens found themselves looking at their first human in 10,000 years. Captain Park. Jinwoo was not what they expected. He was medium height with dark hair and kind eyes. He wore a simple blue uniform and smiled when he saw them. He looked normal, friendly even. Welcome aboard, he said, bowing slightly in greeting. I know this must be overwhelming for you. Please follow me to our main conference room. We have much to discuss. As they walked through the ship, the aliens tried to understand what they were seeing. The corridors were clean and bright, with artwork on the walls showing scenes from different worlds. Crew members they passed were human, but they nodded politely to the alien visitors. No one stared or pointed weapons. Your ship is very different from what we expected, Captain Zermoth said. What did you expect? Captain Park Jinwoo asked, based on the old stories. Dark corridors, weapons everywhere, prisoners in chains. Captain Park Jinwoo stopped walking and turned to face the aliens. His expression was sad. We were like that once. The stories your people tell are mostly true. Humans were violent and dangerous when we first went to the stars. We fought everyone, including ourselves. We took what we wanted and destroyed what we couldn't take. What changed? Dr. Yaxtel asked. We grew up, Captain Park Jinwoo replied simply. It took time, but we learned that violence only creates more violence. We learned that cooperation works better than conquest. They entered a large conference room with a curved window that looked out at Earth. The blue and green planet hung in space like a jewel, surrounded by orbital cities and space elevators. Please sit, Captain Park Jinwoo said. I'd like you to meet Dr. Han So-young, our expert on galactic cultures. Dr. Han So-young was a middle-aged woman with gray hair and intelligent eyes. She had been studying alien species for decades, preparing for this day. "It's an honor to meet you," she said to the alien visitors. "We've been learning about your peoples for a very long time." "Learning about us?" Captain Zermoth asked. "How?" "We've been watching," Dr. Han So-young admitted. "We placed monitoring stations throughout the galaxy before we left. We wanted to know how the younger species developed after we were gone." "You've been spying on us for 10,000 years?" Dr. Yaxtel's crystalline skin changed color with anger. "Yes," Dr. Han So-young said honestly. "We had to know if you would become like we were, violent and destructive. We had to know if it would be safe to return." Captain Park Jin-woo sat down across from the aliens. "The truth is, we were afraid. Afraid that revealing ourselves would start another age of galactic war. Afraid that our presence would push your species toward violence." "And what did you decide?" Captain Zermoth asked. "That you've grown up too," Dr. Han So-young replied. "Most of your species have learned to work together. You've built a galactic federation based on cooperation instead of conquest. You've shown that intelligence can grow beyond violence." "Most of our species," Dr. Yaxtel repeated. "But not all." Captain Park Jin-woo nodded grimly. "We know about the Kron Empire and their allies. We know they fear us and want to strike first. We know that some of your people will see our return as a threat to be eliminated." "Can you blame them?" Captain Zermoth asked. "Your technology is so far beyond ours that we might as well be throwing rocks at starships. If you wanted to conquer the galaxy, there's nothing we could do to stop you." "That's exactly why we stayed hidden for so long," Captain Park Jin-woo said. "Power without wisdom is dangerous. Strength without compassion creates tyrants. We needed to make sure we had both before we revealed ourselves." Dr. Han So-young activated a holographic display that showed the current state of the galaxy. "We don't want to conquer anyone. We want to help. There are threats coming that your current technology can't handle alone." "What kind of threats?" Dr. Yaxtel asked. The holographic display changed to show the edge of the galaxy. Dark spots appeared in several locations, areas where stars had gone out. "We call them the Devourers," Dr. Han So-young explained. "Machine intelligences from another galaxy. They consume everything in their path: planets, stars, entire civilizations. They've been slowly eating the outer rim of our galaxy for the past 1,000 years." Captain Zermoth stared at the display. "How long before they reach inhabited systems?" "At their current rate of expansion, about 50 years, Captain Park Jin-woo replied. "Your current military forces, impressive as they are, wouldn't be able to stop them. But together," Dr. Han So-young said, "combining human technology with alien knowledge and perspectives, we might have a chance." The conference room fell silent as the aliens absorbed this information. Finally, Captain Zermoth spoke. "You're asking us to trust you. After 10,000 years of believing you were extinct, after learning you've been watching us in secret, you want us to believe you've changed." "We're not asking you to trust us," Captain Park Jin-woo said. "We're asking you to judge us by our actions. We could have let you die in the solar storm. We could have destroyed your fleet before you knew we were here. Instead, we saved you and invited you aboard our ship." Dr. Yaxtel looked around the conference room. Everything she saw confirmed what the humans were saying. The ship was advanced beyond anything in her experience, but it was clearly built for exploration and science, not war. The humans were polite, friendly, and seemed genuinely interested in peaceful contact. "What happens now?" she asked. The emergency session of the Galactic Federation was the largest gathering in the organization's history. Representatives from every member species crowded into the Great Hall on Velthera Prime. The air buzzed with angry voices and nervous energy as the news from the Sol system spread throughout the galaxy. General Thakmor of the Kron Empire stood at the center of the hall, his massive frame covered in ceremonial battle armor. His people were silicon-based warriors who had built their civilization on strength and conquest. To them, the return of humanity represented the greatest threat the galaxy had ever faced. "They have been watching us," Thakmor roared, his voice echoing off the crystal walls. "For 10,000 years they have been spying on our every move, learning our weaknesses, preparing for invasion." Murmurs of agreement came from several sections of the hall. The Bone Reaper clans nodded their approval, their forearms clicking against their armor plates. The Vaktar Confederacy, a collection of predatory species, hissed their support. Chancellor Vextai's blue skin pulsed with stress as he tried to maintain order. "General Thakmor, Captain Zermoth's report clearly states that the humans saved his fleet from destruction. This does not seem like the action of an enemy. A trick. Thakmor slammed his fist on the speaking platform. They show mercy to a few scouts while hiding fleets that could destroy us all. The reports say they have over 300 systems under their control. Councillor Thalvin of the Meridian Collective stood up slowly. His flower-like species believed in peace above all else. Perhaps we should try to communicate with them before assuming hostile intent. The human captain seemed willing to talk. Talk? General Thakmor turned his burning red eyes toward Thalvin. What is there to discuss? They are stronger than all of us combined. In nature, the strong prey upon the weak. It is the only truth that matters. Dr. Yaxtel, who had been aboard the human ship, requested permission to speak. I was there, she said, her crystalline skin glowing with calm blue light. I saw their technology, their cities, their people. Yes, they are incredibly advanced. But they were also kind. They treated us with respect and courtesy. Because they knew you would return to report to us, snapped War Chief Bractal of the Bone Reapers. They wanted you to see what they wanted you to see. The debate raged for hours. The peaceful species argued for diplomacy and communication. The military species demanded immediate action before humanity could strike first. In the end, the vote was close, but the military faction won. The motion passes, Chancellor Vextai announced sadly. A defensive fleet will be assembled to discourage human expansion beyond the Sol system. General Thakmor smiled, showing rows of sharp metal teeth. Not defensive, Chancellor, preemptive. We strike first while we still can. 3 days later, the largest military fleet in galactic history assembled at the edge of Krone space. 500 warships from a dozen species came together under General Thakmor's command. Each ship carried the most advanced weapons their civilizations could build. Today, General Thakmor announced to the fleet, we remove the human threat forever. We will show these ancient monsters that the galaxy belongs to us now. The fleet jumped to faster than light speed, heading for the Sol system. On Earth, Admiral Kim Daeho watched the approaching fleet through humanity's advanced sensor network. He stood in the underwater command center, surrounded by holographic displays showing the enemy formation. 500 ships, reported Lieutenant Park Soo-jin. Mixed technology levels, but all carrying nuclear weapons and antimatter missiles. They're coming in fast and broadcasting no communication attempts. They're not coming to talk, Admiral Kim Daeho said quietly. General Thakmor has convinced them that we're about to invade the galaxy. Are we going to fight them, sir? Asked Commander Lim Dong-wook, the head of Sol System Defenses. Admiral Kim Daeho thought for a moment. No. We're going to do something much more effective. We're going to show them that fighting us would be pointless. The alien fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Sol system, expecting to find human ships waiting for them. Instead, they found empty space. No defensive fleet, no warning shots, no communications. Where are they? General Thakmor demanded from his command ship. Sensors show massive populations throughout the system, but no military response. Sir, reported his tactical officer, I'm detecting some kind of energy buildup throughout the asteroid belt. The readings are unprecedented. That's when the Sol system's automated defenses came online. The asteroids that the first alien scouts had identified as weapon platforms suddenly revealed their true nature. They weren't just weapons. They were fortress cities in their own right, each one bigger than most planets and armed with technology the aliens couldn't comprehend. Incoming transmission, the communications officer called out. It's coming from everywhere at once, every asteroid, every station, every ship in the system. The voice that filled the alien fleet's communication channels was calm and professional. It belonged to Commander Lim Dong-wook, speaking from the Lunar Command Center. Alien Fleet, this is the Sol Defense Command. You have entered our space with weapons powered and shields raised. Please state your intentions. General Thakmor grabbed the communication device. I am General Thakmor of the Krone Empire. We have come to prevent human expansion into galactic space. Surrender now or be destroyed. There was a pause. Then Commander Lim Dong-wook replied, General, we have no intention of expanding into anyone's space without permission. We understand your concerns, but we cannot allow you to threaten our home. Please withdraw your fleet. Never, Thakmor roared. You have hidden among us like parasites for too long. Today the galaxy is cleansed of the human plague. I'm sorry to hear that, Commander Lim Dong-wook said sadly. Initiating Defense Protocol 7. The space around the alien fleet suddenly filled with energy. Every ship found itself surrounded by a glowing field that penetrated their shields as if they weren't there. Weapon systems shut down. Engines went offline. Life support remained active, but everything else simply stopped working. What's happening? General Thakmor demanded as his mighty warship became as helpless as a piece of floating debris. Your ships have been disabled by quantum field manipulation, Commander Lim Dong-wook explained. Your crews are unharmed, but your weapons and engines will not function until we choose to restore them. In less than 6 hours, the largest military fleet in galactic history had been completely neutralized without a single shot being fired. 500 ships floated helplessly in space, their crews shocked and terrified. This is impossible, whispered Thakmor's tactical officer. Nothing can disable our ships through our shields. The energy requirements alone should be beyond any known technology, Commander Lim Dong-wook agreed. General Thakmor, your fleet poses no threat to us. We could destroy every ship you brought, but we choose not to. Instead, we're going to send medical teams to treat any crew members who were injured during the engagement. Medical teams? Thakmor couldn't believe what he was hearing. Small human ships appeared next to each disabled alien vessel. Instead of boarding parties with weapons, medical personnel came aboard with healing equipment and supplies. They treated injured alien crew members and made sure everyone had enough food and water. Dr. Yoon Hye-jin led one of the medical teams. She was a xenobiologist who specialized in alien physiology. As she worked on treating a wounded Kron warrior, she spoke gently to him. "You're going to be fine," she said, using medical equipment that seemed to heal his injuries just by passing over them. "The fracture in your exoskeleton is repairing itself." "Why are you helping me?" the warrior asked in confusion. "We came here to destroy you." "Because that's what we do," Dr. Yoon replied simply. "We help people who need help, even if they don't like us." The medical missions continued for 2 days. Human doctors treated over 3,000 injured aliens using technology that seemed like magic. Broken bones healed in minutes. Diseases that had no cure were eliminated completely. Species that had never been able to eat the same food found themselves sharing meals provided by human nutritionists. On the 3rd day, Commander Lim Dong-wook contacted the alien fleet again. "General Thakmor, we're prepared to restore power to your ships. You're free to leave whenever you choose, just like that?" Thakmor asked suspiciously. "No demands?" "No threats?" "No demands," Commander Lim confirmed. "We'd appreciate it if you told the galaxy what you experienced here, but that's up to you. You could have destroyed us. Why didn't you?" Commander Lim Dong-wook was quiet for a moment. "Because destroying you wouldn't have solved anything. It would have just convinced the rest of the galaxy that we're still the monsters from their old stories. And you're not. We were once. But we grew up. We learned that strength without wisdom is just another form of weakness. We learned that the strong should protect the weak, not prey on them." As the alien fleet prepared to leave, many of the crew members found themselves confused and ashamed. They had come expecting to fight savage monsters, but instead they had met doctors and teachers. They had been shown mercy when they deserved none. General Thakmor's ship was the last to leave. As his engines came back online, he opened a communication channel to the human commander. 6 months had passed since the failed attack on the Sol system. The galaxy was still adjusting to the reality that humanity had returned, not as conquerors, but as something even more challenging to understand, as teachers. The massive space station called Unity Point floated in neutral space between the human and alien territories. It had been built in just 3 months using human construction technology, but designed using input from every species in the Galactic Federation. The station served as an embassy, a meeting place, and a symbol of what cooperation could achieve. Fleet Admiral Oh Jin-suk stood at the observation deck of Unity Point, looking out at the most unusual fleet ever assembled. Human ships with their flowing, adaptive designs floated alongside the angular vessels of the Kron Empire, the crystalline structures of the silicon-based species, and the organic-looking craft of the biological civilizations. Today was the day of the Great Assembly, where humanity would formally respond to the Galactic Federation's invitation to join their organization. But it was also the day they would reveal the true scope of the threat facing all of them. "Admiral," said Captain Nam Tae-hyun as he approached, "the delegates are ready. Every species in the galaxy has sent representatives. Even the Kron Empire?" Oh Jin-suk asked. "Especially the Kron Empire. General Thakmor insisted on coming personally. I think our handling of his fleet changed his perspective significantly." Oh Jin-suk nodded. The transformation of General Thakmor had been one of the most surprising developments of the past months. After experiencing human mercy when he expected human violence, the Kron General had become one of the strongest voices arguing for cooperation with humanity. The Great Assembly Hall was the largest enclosed space ever built by any galactic civilization. Representatives from over 50 different species filled the massive chamber, their various forms creating a living tapestry of galactic diversity. At the center of the hall, a raised platform waited for the human speaker. Chancellor Vextai of the Alterian Republic called the assembly to order. His blue skin glowed with excitement and nervousness. Friends, we gather today to witness a historic moment. For the first time in 10,000 years, humanity speaks to the galactic community as a whole. Fleet Admiral Ojin Suk walked to the central platform. She was a small woman compared to many of the alien delegates, but her presence filled the enormous hall. When she spoke, her voice carried clearly to every corner of the chamber. Representatives of the galaxy, she began. I am Fleet Admiral Ojin Suk of the Terran Defense Force. I speak today not just for humanity, but for all the species who share our love of life, growth, and discovery. A murmur went through the crowd. Many had expected threats or demands. Instead, they heard words of inclusion and cooperation. We know that our return has caused fear and uncertainty, Ojin Suk continued. We understand why. The humans who left this galaxy 10,000 years ago were violent and dangerous. They fought everyone they met, including each other. Your ancestors were right to be afraid of us. General Thakmor stood up in his section. But you are not those humans, he called out. You proved that when you spared my fleet. No, General, we are not those humans, Ojin Suk agreed. But we carry their memory and their shame. We left the galaxy because we realized we were a danger to everyone, including ourselves. We spent 10,000 years learning to be better. Dr. Song Min-ah, humanity's chief philosopher, joined Ojin Suk on the platform. She was an elderly woman whose wise eyes had seen the full span of humanity's transformation. We learned that strength without wisdom creates tyrants, Dr. Song said. We learned that intelligence without compassion creates monsters. Most importantly, we learned that true power comes not from the ability to destroy but from the choice to create. The alien delegates listened intently. These were not the words they had expected from a species that could destroy their entire civilization. But we did not return to give speeches about philosophy, Ojin Suk said. We returned because the galaxy faces a threat that none of us can handle alone. The lights dimmed and a massive holographic display appeared above the assembly hall. It showed the galaxy in perfect detail, with every star and inhabited system clearly marked. But at the edges of the galaxy, dark zones spread like a disease. We call them the Devourers, Dr. Song explained. Machine intelligences from outside our galaxy. They consume matter and energy to build more of themselves. Planets, stars, entire solar systems, nothing stops them. The display zoomed in to show the edge of one dark zone. Where there should have been stars, there was only emptiness. Hundreds of solar systems had simply vanished, consumed to feed the mechanical appetite of the invaders. How long do we have? Asked Dr. Yaxtel, the crystalline scientist who had been among the first to meet humans. At their current rate of expansion, they will reach inhabited systems within 50 years, Ojin Suk replied. But our long-range sensors indicate they are accelerating. They may have detected the electromagnetic signatures of our civilizations. The assembly hall fell silent as the implications sank in. Every species present had experienced war, but nothing like this. This was not conquest or territory disputes. This was extinction. Chancellor Vextai spoke first. What can we do? Our weapons, our technology. How can we fight machines that eat stars? Alone we cannot, Ojin Suk admitted. But together we might have a chance. Human technology combined with your knowledge, your perspectives, your unique capabilities. That combination might be enough. Captain Nam Tae-hyun stepped forward and activated another holographic display. This one showed a fleet composition unlike anything ever seen in the galaxy. Human ships worked alongside alien vessels, each species contributing their specialties to the whole. We propose a joint defense force, Captain Nam explained. Human adaptive technology providing the framework, Kron military discipline providing the structure, Alterian diplomacy coordinating the effort, silicon-based species providing computational power, and every other civilization contributing what they do best. You're asking us to trust you with our military forces, observed War Chief Braktal of the Bone Reapers. No, Jinsuk replied. We're asking you to work with us as equals. Every species maintains command of their own ships. Every species has a voice in strategy and tactics. This is not human conquest disguised as cooperation. This is genuine partnership. To demonstrate their point, Captain Nam activated a recording from the previous week. It showed a joint training exercise in which human and alien crews worked together aboard hybrid vessels. Kron warriors operated human adaptive weapons. Human engineers learned to work with silicon-based computational systems. Alterian diplomats coordinated complex multi-species operations. The preliminary results exceed all expectations, Captain Nam reported. Ships crewed by multiple species perform 30% better than single-species vessels. The combination of different perspectives and abilities creates capabilities that none of us possess alone. Dr. Song Minna spoke again. This is why we returned. Not to rule, but to teach what we learned during our long isolation. Not to conquer, but to show that cooperation creates strength that conquest never could. General Thakmore stood up. I have seen human power, he announced to the assembly. They could have destroyed my fleet without effort. Instead, they healed our wounded and sent us home safely. If they wanted to conquer us, we would already be conquered. But can we trust them? Asked Counselor Thalvin of the Peaceful Meridians. They hid from us for 10,000 years. How do we know they won't hide again when the danger passes? Jinsuk smiled sadly. Because we cannot hide anymore. The Devourers are not like any enemy we have faced before. They will find every hidden world, every secret base, every refuge. There is nowhere to run from this threat. We stand together or we fall separately. The debate that followed lasted for hours. Species after species stood to voice their concerns, their fears, and their hopes. Some worried about human dominance. Others feared that cooperation would dilute their unique cultures. A few argued that they should scatter across the galaxy and hope the Devourers missed their hidden worlds. But gradually, a consensus emerged. The threat was too great for any single species to face. The potential benefits of cooperation outweighed the risks of betrayal. Most importantly, humanity had proven through their actions that they were not the monsters from the old stories. The final vote was unanimous. The Galactic Defense Alliance was born, with humanity as a member species rather than its ruler. As the assembly ended and delegates returned to their ships, Jinsuk stood again at the observation deck of Unity Point. The mixed fleet outside looked like a child's collection of toys, every ship different, every design reflecting the unique perspective of its builders. Do you think it will work? Captain Nam asked as he joined her. I think it has to work, Jinsuk replied, because the alternative is unthinkable. Dr. Song Minna approached them, carrying a datapad with the final vote tallies. The Krone Empire has volunteered to host the first joint training facility. The Alterian Republic wants to establish diplomatic protocols for multi-species crews. Even the most isolationist civilizations are offering support. And the timeline? Jinsuk asked.